Welcome, everyone, and welcome to the next installment of Mount Pleasant Moving Forward, where we have periodic interviews with Town Supervisor Carl Fugenzi. And in this installment, we're going to talk about updates on what's going on in the town of Mount Pleasant, new projects going on in the town of Mount Pleasant, and other good news that Carl will be sharing with you. So, Carl, welcome.
Thank you, Nick. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So let's get right into it. We'll just give the folks just a bit of an agenda of what we'll be talking about. Clearly, we want to talk about, and these are the topics that you selected. So we want to talk about the North 60 project. We want to talk about the master plan. We want to talk about some of the projects that are going on around town. There are a number of green initiatives that the town has initiated, some completed, some mid-course, some just beginning. We want to chat a bit about those, and some miscellaneous and sundry topics as well. So let's get started with probably the biggest news that's hit the town in I don't know how long. Probably since the days of the developments in the 50s and early 60s, and that's the North 60 project. I'm sure most of the viewers have heard of it. Perhaps they're not aware of the immediacy of it and just the general broad scope. So this might be a good time, if you'd like, just to bring the folks up to speed.
Sure. We have just started in the initial stage. It's in the planning board stages right now. They have to do a CEQA review and all that. Environmental, traffic, all that stuff is just starting now. It's a long process. It's going to be going on for a while. The public will have their opportunity to view the project, the present project, the future of the project. All these things the public will have an opportunity to voice their concerns or opinions about.
Yeah, sure, and I'm sure many of them will support it because this will be a significant increase to the tax base in the town.
It's a lot of benefits there. Not only the tax base itself, it's good for the school also, because you're not generating school children, but you're generating school taxes. The other thing is the positive impact it could have to our hamlets.
Sure, and the number of jobs. I mean, the estimates are several thousand jobs that the facility will create. Perhaps you just might want to spend a couple of seconds on, we have some slides that give it just an artist rendering of what the project may look like. There's a phase one slide also, so you've already spoken about that. But overall, the project is anticipated to be something like 3 million square feet.
Yes.
And how large is of a footprint is that? And maybe the location too.
The total project, the 60 acres is what the leased property is to Ferrari Associates. Ferrari also owns another 20 acres. So the entire property that we're talking about is 80 acres. Significant amount of it is green space. They're preserving a lot of green space, creating a new roadway to help alleviate the traffic situations. The first phase of it is you have the medical offices, you have a hotel, some small retail shopping, basically to take care of the people that are in that general area there. It's not designed, and we made sure that it was not something to draw from our communities. We don't want to take away from what we're trying to develop in our hamlets. And they were in agreement, working with us on that. So you may see a coffee shop, you may see a CVS or a Walgreens, something like that, but not any kind of a box store or anything like that to try to draw people there.
And that first phase of the 3 million square feet, that first phase is probably about 500,000 square feet or so. The bulk of the project is the research and the biotechnical park that's going to be there, which is something like 2 million square feet.
The first total is 500,000 square feet is the initial phase. I think a lot of it's going to have to do with when you build it, will they come? You know, once they start. It's probably going to create that interest. There's a lot of pharmaceutical companies that are already looking at this.
Sure. Because this is cutting edge. I mean, this is the future of not just the biopharm industries, but other technical industries as well. Because there's just a lack of high-end, high-tech space with all of the needs that there are, the unique needs of high-tech space. So this Westchester County and the town of Mount Pleasant will be at the forefront of that.
Yeah.
Even though the time span on the full completion of this is years off.
It could go on for years, but like I said before, it has to do with what kind of a draw you're going to have.
Yeah.
You know, they may start the first phase, and then people are knocking at the door saying, we need, 100,000 square feet or something like that, So that'll make the decisions how they're going to move forward with the project.
Okay, makes sense. So
They have an obligation with the lease to do the original 500,000 square feet. That's the obligation to start with that, and then they go from there.
Okay. Very excellent. Well, that would be a good segue then, as one of the projects that leads up to the master plan. And I know the town's been working diligently on the master plan. You've had a number of public hearings. From what I can tell, you've had some good insights and good inputs from the public, and the consulting firm and the town board has absorbed all of that as you develop the plan. So perhaps you can give the viewers an update on the master plan.
The IDA, which I'm chairman of, we decided to take on that responsibility of the master plan. What it does is it saves the taxpayers. The taxpayers are not paying a dime for this master plan, and it goes in hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Of course, yeah.
So we had hired Pat Cleary from Cleary Consultant, and also Tiffany Zazula from Pace Law. She did the community outreach, and she was excellent. And we had a very good turnout at all the community outreach events. And she was kind of impressed with it also. She did compliment us on how the people were really engaged. And this project is about what does this community want.
Sure.
The town board stayed away from it. We said, this is your project. We're here to back up everything that you decide that you want to do. So Pat Cleary's job is to bring all these ideas together. And this is what we're going to do moving forward. The reason I started the master plan, originally our thinking was, let's just do some downtown revitalization, sidewalks, roadways, lighting and stuff like that. But then the North 60 project came up. We said, you know what? It's bigger than us. Let's look at the whole thing. How can the North 60 affect the town of Mount Pleasant as a whole? Sure. So that's where it started.
Okay. And is there a specific timeline for the different progress points and the touchstones as we go forward?
I think right now we're probably 60% on the master plan.
Okay.
I think we're almost there. We'll be getting an update probably within 30 days. Okay. And then I'm hoping by the fall we are implementing those changes.
Okay. And what does that mean in terms of the residents and either their input or their knowledge of what's going on? Will there be a final plan approved after it gets approved by the IDA, will it get approved by the board, and then it's presented fait accompli to the town?
The master plan will probably incorporate some zoning changes, and that is public hearings, and creating new laws, and that's all part of that whole thing.
Okay, good. So there'll still be an active ability to participate from the residents. Okay. And they should look for updates on the plan, updates on the next scheduled sessions, planning sessions that are open to the public as well.
Yep, definitely.
And we'll go over that, but there's a very specific way that residents can keep abreast of what's going on. I know in the last year or so, through your office, you've really made a major effort to create newsletters and to generate and publicize information through the town website and the e-newsletter out to the town residents.
We were lucky. We brought in Amanda Giusilli, who is my assistant. She's not a secretary. She's more than that. She knows a lot of stuff about the technology end of this. She knows how to set up the website. She's made a tremendous amount of improvements to it. And so we're putting everything on the website. That's perfect. Anything you want to know, you can find it there.
And being a subscriber myself, I can attest to the fact, and not only the website with announcements, but also text messages as well.
Right. You can get, if you go to our website, it's www.mountpleasantnewyork.com, you can sign up for a lot of different things. You could get email blast, like if there's something important that's on the
closures
website. But aside, even that, it's like a planning board meeting coming up. You may want to attend. Here's a blast on that. And then we have emergency alert system, which is a Nixle system. That also, you go onto the town website and you go to the Nixle thing, you hit that and you sign up. You tell them what you want. You want email, you want a text. And we don't want to use Nixle for anything other than for emergency type alerts. You know, trees down blocking a road, emergency services in any certain area of the town, water main breaks. So we're not going to abuse that for minor alerts.
Perfect, perfect.
You get desensitized.
And we have a screenshot of what that page looks like. So folks go to, as Supervisor Fugenzi just said, it's mtpleasantny.com, and you'll see the layout there.
It's pretty user friendly now that we've done a lot of work on it.
And also on the website, the town website, if someone wants to contact anyone on the board, right? There's a contact us tab.
Yep.
You can click on that, and you can send off an email message to whomever it is that you wish. Right?
Definitely. Yeah.
Perfect. And Amanda will be there just to making sure everything gets through.
Make sure it works.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's move on because we have a lot to cover. Let's talk about some of the projects that are going on in town right now. There are a couple of apartment projects. You still have the Belle Paez property that you're working on, and some other initiatives as well. A number of green initiatives as well. So let's start with the apartment developments.
Well, as you mentioned, the Belle Paez property, we had talked about that previously. That's been a long, drawn-out process there. Finally, the town has that property, but there's a piece on each side that we had to negotiate for over a year to resolve it. The IDA is purchasing those two pieces. Then it'll all be combined and sold at an auction probably. And then the town will get their money back that they invested or lost in taxes, and then it'll be sold to a developer.
Perfect.
And then we're looking at another piece there to try to create more municipal parking, not commuter, but to add some municipal parking there. We don't want people to just drive through the town. We want them to be able to pull over, have a place to park, and take a walk around and see all the changes we're making.
Plus, you still have the streetscape projects that are going on, right? In that general area.
Yeah, well, that'll all be part of, once the master plan is approved, then all those things start to come together.
Okay. Now there are two apartment developments that are going.
The existing building where Victor's restaurant is now, that'll be coming down, and there'll be there's a nice building. I think we have a shot of that too, on 500 Commerce Street. I think it's 14 units. There'll be parking underneath the building, and there'll be parking in the back of the building.
And that's the hot property these days. Apartments along the rail lines. That's amazing.
Walking distance to the train station. The other property is, the address on that is
423 to 429 Commerce Street,
And you're talking about taking two very old buildings, and there's a space in the middle of them. You're going to put a new building in between, and the three of them will all be matching really nicely. And it's going to be a nice addition to that area.
And as folks see from the rendering, I don't know if you can notice it, but north of the property is where the two burgers are, Burger Appliances and Burger Hardware. So it's just south of those two, and just before the old Gordo's, maybe?
Yes.
Right? It's
Right
in
next
that pocket.
Right next to the old Gordo's.
And that's going to add, it'll be a refurbed building that's there now, plus adding a few more units. So that's, I think you told me that's going to be like between 4 and 5 units. But it's still in the development stages.
And like you said before, this is transit-oriented.
Yeah, it's great.
Residences. You get professionals, they want to hop on a train, they want to walk to the train, they want to, and this is why we want to improve our downtowns. They want to come home from the train, maybe walk down the street to a nice restaurant or a cafe. This is what we want to see.
Perfect. And it's close to all the highways on top of all
of
that.
Yeah.
Terrific. So everyone's talking about green initiatives these days, and a lot of towns have been talking about it for years and haven't done anything. But under your supervision, the town has achieved and accomplished and has initiated a number of initiatives. So let's go down the list of a few of those.
We were approached by a number of solar companies, and we finally settled with Con Ed Solutions. What I like about them is they build, they take care of it. They don't just build it and sell it to somebody else or broker it to somebody else. They're responsible for it for the life of the project. 25-year lifespan, 25-year lease, let's put it that way. So we're putting solar panels at town hall, carports, on a rooftop. We're doing the community center, Not the whole parking lot, but a good portion of it, because we have some other plans for the community center that I don't want these to be in the way of.
Okay, sure, makes sense.
We're putting a new roof on the highway garage. It'll be a pitched roof, so that'll be solar panels on there. And then the roof in the back of there, the garages will have solar panels also. And while we're on initiatives, the electric cars. Through some grants, we were able to obtain 2 electric cars, Nissan Leafs. Pretty impressive cars. I had the pleasure of driving it. We also put in charging stations. We're almost finished with those. There'll be 1 public charging station and 1 set for the 2 fleet cars that we're using now.
And where will the stations be? Or where are the stations?
At Town Hall.
Right at the town hall.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
We have an area where all our fleet cars are parked.
Okay, that's where it would be. Yeah.
And the public can pull up and charge their car if they want.
Okay. Plus, one of the projects, the initiatives that are completed now is transferring all of the town street lighting over to LED.
Yeah.
And that's a huge savings. We all, as homeowners, we know what the benefits are of transferring from incandescent over to LED, but at the town level with street lighting, it has to be a significant annual savings.
You're talking over $200,000 a year.
That's amazing.
That's a big number.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm sure the investment to transfer things over will be repaid in several years.
It's pretty much paid off.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow, good for you.
Because what we did was we budgeted the same amount for electric for like 3 years.
And just that savings alone?
And the savings there, it kept increasing. The savings kept increasing as the project went on. So we were getting credits from Con Ed for those periods of time. So we're just about paid off, but we're still reaping the benefits of the lower cost.
Wow, that's nice. That's nice. Plus, you've got a couple of other things going on, right? The water meters, right? Yeah.
We installed 6,000, almost complete. We probably have maybe 100, maybe more, smart meters. And what it does is on your smartphone, you can check to see what your water usage is on a daily basis.
Wow.
And if you set it up properly, you can get an alert. If there's a constant flow of water, it'll tell you got a leak.
Oh. I could have used that a few years ago. I had that problem.
We've had people already who have been away and got an alert. No, actually, our water department called them and said, our stats are showing that you're using more water than you normally would, and it's constant, and they were away. So the water department went over there and shut the water off because it was just a leak, a bad leak at the house. So to help save them, they shut off the water.
And this is town-wide. I mean, you're almost done.
Yeah.
But this is town-wide, both residential and commercial.
Yes.
That's amazing. That's
And
great.
we also created a tiered system of water. Because the way it was before, everybody paid the same rate. Whether you're PepsiCo or whether you're a senior living in a house by yourself. We felt that wasn't really fair. A senior is only using a little bit of water. She's paying the same rate as PepsiCo using millions of gallons of water. So we tiered it. So the first tier is lower than you were paying before. The second tier is pretty much the same as you were paying. The third tier is for those who are not conserving water.
Okay. And you have a measure, because it's a smart meter, and you have the technology behind it. You can tell what the expected usage could be or should be, and then you can measure the actual against that.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
There you go. So whatever the investment is in that technology, you've got a short payback period again.
Definitely.
Again. Excellent.
Well,
Okay.
most of your meters, as they age, they do not speed up. They slow down.
Yeah.
So you're never really getting an accurate reading. It was a benefit to most of us who had old water meters because we weren't really paying for everything we're using. But in reality, the town has to make that up because we pay New York City for a set amount of water, whether it's recorded or not.
Oh.
So if we have unaccountable water, we have to pay for it.
Yeah. Another efficiency.
Yeah.
And another initiative that you've taken on is right in the town hall, right with the town board. And maybe you want to just tell the viewers about your Novus agenda.
The Novus agenda, and it's another thing that Amanda had jumped on right away. It's a way we eliminated paper. What used to drive me nuts at the end of a meeting, somebody would throw away a stack of papers in the garbage. And I'm like, that used to drive me crazy. So we got this system. Everybody got a tablet. All this information goes directly from a department head. No more paper is brought to the office anymore. It's electronically sent to the computer. Amanda sets it all up for our agendas, And it's what a time saver, and obviously a savings paper waste.
And it's all over secure lines, so you
Yeah.
don't have to worry about getting hacked into.
Plus, the town board is always accurately seeing something as it happens.
So if there's a last minute item to add to the agenda or a last minute change, they'll have it right there in front of
Yeah,
them.
in fact, some things change. As you have an emergency or something, you have to make an expenditure you didn't plan on. She will send it out immediately to the town board. This is not something we discussed at the work session. What you're thinking on it? Are you okay with it? Stuff like that.
Efficiency in government. I love it. I love it. Another initiative you've taken, which may not reap the same kinds of savings, but is still something that will save the town money, is you've overhauled the fleet of the town cars and trucks, right?
Yeah, you know, we all went through hard times, physical hard times. And so we had a lot of aging vehicles, police department vehicles that wouldn't even pass inspections if they had to go
You
for
can say that,
inspection.
okay, in hindsight now, I guess.
Highway vehicles rusting out. So we slowly started replacing police vehicles, highway vehicles, water department equipment and trucks. Now we have a great fleet, a younger fleet of equipment and vehicles that are safer for all of our workers.
Terrific. You also, we touched on it in passing, the carport at the town hall. And you said those what appear to be roofs, and folks will see it on screen, those are really solar panels.
Right.
So you've combined improving the parking lot, but also now putting up solar panels where you otherwise would not have an opportunity to do so.
We redid the whole parking lot in town hall about a year and a half ago. It was in desperate need of repair. Something else we just put off until things were right.
Sure.
Now it's a new parking lot, all new curbing, handicap accessible, sidewalks and everything else. And then the adding of the carports on top of that is an added, a couple of benefits for it. Not only the generation of electricity for community solar, but the fact that you're shading the cars in the summer and you're keeping snow off of most of them in the wintertime. So that's a benefit. When you're pretty much be able to walk from your car into the building, pretty much keep dry.
Perfect. Maybe that's a good segue, because you mentioned it twice with some of the initiatives and some of the investments that the town has been able to make now that you were not able to make through the Great Recession and for several years after that.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the fiscal situation that the town is in right now. I mean, we know that there's a 2% cap that's mandated on tax increases. Maybe you can talk about that. We know that a lot of towns, including Mount Pleasant, dipped into your general funds during the recession. Maybe you can talk about the state of those funds now. Just in terms of where Mount Pleasant stands fiscally now versus where you were just a few short years ago.
Well, a few years back, prior to me starting, we had to lay off about 16 employees. That's how bad things were. And you started with the newer ones and you worked your way up. Then slowly we had projects such as Regeneron come in. Regeneron was a very big employer and taxpayer that came into the town of Mount Pleasant. Most of the money comes in through your building fees, your plumbing, electrical, and construction fees, which all come into the pot. So slowly we started to regenerate what we didn't have. Our fund balance was very low. Right now, we're probably looking at a fund balance between $12 and $15 million.
And just for a reference point, how low had it gotten during the depths of the recession?
We were under $1 million.
And you built it up that much in that short a period of time, just through these kinds of initiatives?
Well, we've always budgeted conservatively. Let's say sales tax. You're always going to bring some sales tax in. You're going to bring mortgage tax. You're going to bring permit fees in. So what we did is, well, maybe we're going to bring $1 million in sales tax, but let's put in $700,000, just in case. Sure. Things could, you never know what's going to happen economically.
And it helps you manage the cost side of your budget as well that way.
Building fees the same way. We have a builder that comes in and says, I'm going to start building, so we know there's a certain amount of fees that we can anticipate. But do we count all of it? No, we kind of be conservative. That helps.
So as a result of that, this year's tax budget that was passed included a tax increase of
It's about 1.08%.
Well under
Yeah,
2%
under the
cap,
cap,
for
yeah.
sure. Good for you. And as a result of all of this, I mean, every town and village is always rated by the debt rating agencies, Moody's. Tell us about the town's debt rating with Moody's.
Well, we have a positive rating. It's a, what do you call it, AA1 rating.
Not too many more higher than that, that's for
No.
sure. And you were like 1 or 2 grades below that.
We were, yeah.
Up until 2 or 3 years ago?
I'd say 3 years. We started moving upwards, yeah.
So I would think that's one of the higher ratings amongst most towns, certainly in Westchester County, most clearly in New York State.
And I have to thank the town board, the members of the board that acted conservatively, and the Economic Times. We didn't create any miracles here in town. We relied on these people coming in. They want to invest in the town of Mount Pleasant, and that's what helped us out.
Yeah. And they see the stability of the town. They see the stability of the government. They see the support from the community, the community residents. And all of those are intangibles that add up to a solid foundation for fiscal strength. For sure. One thing I meant to ask, on this year's tax increase, you said it's 1.08%.
Right.
What does that mean to the average homeowner?
So the average homeowner sees an increase of probably between $75 and $100 added to their tax bill.
Okay. You mean the average price of a home?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which now Pleasant is,
I would say the average
$500,000 and $1 million?
I would say 500,000, yeah.
Okay, so there's an extra burden, but it's not as significant. Well, it's half of what the tax cap would have permitted you.
Yes.
Yeah.
But nothing goes down. The cost of anything, even though we're doing everything we can to save, there are fixed costs. Your pension cost, your salaries, and all that's fixed costs you cannot do anything about.
And speaking of tax base, I meant to ask you in the projects segment of our program about the PepsiCo project. Let's talk a little bit about that.
I got the word that PepsiCo was going to pack up and leave town. So the prior county executive, Rob Astorino, had called me and said, we got to sit down with PepsiCo because I got the word that they were going to leave. So I brought in our town attorney and myself. We went down and we sat down with a couple of the executives that came from Texas to meet us. And I said, what do we got to do to keep it here? Yeah. Now, at the time, there was a tax surcharge going on. Valhalla School District owed PepsiCo $700,000. The town of Mount Pleasant owed $100,000. Well, long story short, we made a negotiation, a 15-year plan with PepsiCo, where the taxes each year will go up. The school's bill was wiped out, the town's bill was wiped out, and they're staying here, and they're putting up a couple beautiful buildings, they're hiring more people.
It's amazing.
And we got lucky. Yeah.
While at the same time, they're shutting down and selling their Somers facility as well. So for them just to stay in the area is a coup.
Oh, yeah.
So a great coup, and kudos to you and whomever else worked with you on that project. Okay, we're running out of time. I just wanted to ask if there's any other types of communications that you have planned for going out to the town. We talked about the e-newsletter, we talked about Nixle, we talked about being able to go to the website and contact town officials. Is there anything else that's coming up?
Historically, we've been doing newsletters. When I came in, we started doing a newsletter to try to
like piece of paper newsletter?
Yeah, and it's
You mean like U.S. mail newsletter?
It's actually a handout newsletter we did. It was four-sided, folded newsletter, and we would leave them at different places for people to grab them.
Okay.
We'd have them in town hall, post offices, stuff like that. Now, I've heard so much people saying, well, I don't do email, I don't do this. And so I said, let's do a mailing to the town. Let them make sure everybody gets a copy of this newsletter, because it has a lot of information in there. It's very helpful. Sure. And it talks about a lot of the things that we were talking about today, so which is important.
Yeah, sure. So for those folks that may not have the opportunity to see this show on the broadcast side, there's something that is there for them. It's right in front of them. If they go to their local shop or wherever they might pick it up at the town hall, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So when's the next one coming out? Is it
probably
soon?
within the next few weeks it'll be out there.
Okay, fine.
And it'll have all the information we talked about, the
There
website,
you go.
signing up and all that stuff too.
Perfect, good. Okay, well, I'm glad we had the chance to chat. I'm sure the viewers are interested in learning so much more about what's going on, because you hear dribs and drabs here and there, and you can't. The only way to get, and our station manager, Shane McGaffey, says this all the time, the only way to find out what's truly going on in the news is to hear it from the mouths of the folks that are making the news.
Right.
Not to hear it secondhand or third hand, not to hear it in a telephone game, but to hear it directly from those influencers. And that's why you wanted to have this show, to reach out to your residents.
And the social media today can be very misleading in a lot of cases. I always say my door is open. People walk in my office all the time. And
I have had the amazing opportunity to dial your phone number, and you picked up the phone.
Yep.
I don't find that anywhere else in my business.
I do keep Amanda busy. She may be running down the hall with something, so I have to pick. I don't mind picking up once in a while. Sometimes I regret it, but most
good.
cases.
And a shout out to Amanda
Yeah.
for making you look so good.
Thank you.
So, Carl, thanks again.
Thank you, Nick.
Hopefully we'll do this again
Appreciate
soon,
it.
as
Definitely.
developments warrant. So Nick Antonaccio with Supervisor Carl Fugenzi, signing off on Mount Pleasant moving forward.
Thank you.